Hi, I'm Louise from Wildflower Wool. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to work an Afterthought Thumb. I've got just a little sample of stockinette stitch here that we've got to work with, and I'm going to start by working across. You'll follow along in your pattern and work across so many stitches. Oops, sorry here, I've got to find my end of my yarn here. I'm just going to join this just to get started here. You'll have your yarn already joined here that you've been working with. So your pattern's going to tell you to work across, work in the round, so many stitches. You're going to get to a spot where the thumb placement is going to be worked. So let's say right about here. We'll say we knit the number of stitches our pattern requires. And then what you're going to have is just some waste yarn, just a short length of yarn, usually the same thickness as what you're working with. And we're going to just knit across. I'm going to knit 7 stitches, and those 7 stitches will be used for my thumb. So sorry, I missed a step here for you. We're actually going to cut our working yarn. So we're going to leave enough of a tail that it's easy enough to weave in at the end, and then taking our waste yarn here, just join it, and I'm going to work across 7 stitches. You follow whatever your pattern tells you, and this is going to be the number of stitches that will come back and work for the thumb later on. Okay, 5 and 6 and 7. So there are 7 stitches. So our waste yarn is holding 7 stitches down below that we'll come back and use for thumb stitches. This waste yarn, I'm just going to drop it at the back, pick up my mitten yarn again, join with the next stitch, leaving a tail that we're going to weave in later on. Snug that up, and now just work to the end of your round. And that's all there is for putting in that waste yarn to hold those thumb stitches. So once you're at the end of your round, I'm at the end of the row, so now I'm just going to turn it around. I'll be purling back, you'll be working in the round. But when you get to those waste stitches, you're just going to work those just like regular stitches. And then after that, you're just going to carry on, finish off your mitt, and those waste stitches will be sitting there holding your thumb stitches for you to come back and work at the end of your mitt. So I'm just working across my row here. I've got working with my main mitten yarn. Now I'm back at these waste stitches. And just don't give them a second thought. Just work them. If this gets loose, you've got your tails here that you can just snug them up a little bit and just work across. Got a couple more here, and I'll take a look. So what this is doing is this is holding stitches on the top and stitches on the bottom of our thumb opening. There's our very last one. And again, there may be a gap here. We've got tails we can just snug those up with. Now carry on with the rest of back to our stitches made with our mitten yarn, and just carry on around your round. And then just carry on, finish the rest of your mitten. The thumb stitches are being held securely for you to come back to them when your mitten is finished. Okay, so now that you've got your mitten finished, I've just knit a couple of rows here just to pretend that I've got the mitt finished. Your pattern is going to tell you to come back and work your thumb. So we've got our waist yarn sitting here, 7 stitches of waist yarn, which is holding 7 stitches down below. There's going to be 7, the same number you have on your that you've knit with your waist yarn will be how many stitches below. So if you knit 7, you'll have 7 stitches, and you'll have 1 less up top. So in this case, I'm going to pick up 7 stitches in my mitten yarn, and I will pick up only 6 up top. So you might be asking, why or how? How do you know which of these yarns am I picking up? The easiest way to do that is to look at your waist yarn and see where the waist yarn comes down into a V. Don't worry about these open parts up here. Look down here at the points, here and here and here. And where this first stitch is a little funny here, so just to make it easier to demonstrate, to show you, look at the second one. The second waist yarn V points here in this mitten stitch. Right there. There's the left leg and the right leg of that stitch. We're going to want to pick up the right leg of it. So I'm just going to come back here to this first one. That looks a little, well, it looks a little twisted here. But there's the left leg and the right leg. So I'm going to come down in the center and pick up that right leg. Now here again, the V of our our waist yarn. Come down, pick up the right leg of our mitten yarn. Now can you see here, here's our V, we're going to pick up this leg right here. Another V, we're going to come in the center of the mitten yarn stitch and pick up the right leg. Another point of our waist yarn, pick up this leg. We've got 2 more. There's a navy stitch. We're going to come down in the center of it and pick up the right leg. And 1 more. Again, pick up that one. So there should be 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. So what I used there, I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, but I just picked up an empty DPN because we're going to be working the thumb in the round, and I always like to work my thumbs on DPNs. So now I'm going to grab another empty DPN, and we're going to come and we're going to look at the top of our waist yarn stitches. So again, we're going to look at the V. So this time we're going to look at the opposite side. Last time on the bottom we looked down here. This time we're going to look up here where the waist yarn makes a V. We're going to pick up from this stitch. So as you can see, that's why the number's not the same. On the bottom, we had 7 points. Let's say for here, we picked up here, but now we're not picking up directly above it. We're picking up to the side of it. So that's why we actually end up being 1 stitch short. So we are going to come up here. There's our first waist yarn V. We come into the center of our mitten yarn and pick up the right leg of that stitch. And then we just keep going. There's another V. We're going to pick up this leg. Another V here. Pick up this leg. Another V here. We're going to pick up this leg of the navy. 1 more here. A navy. There's another one here with our light colored. There's our stitch. See both legs of the stitch? We want to go down in the center and pick up the right leg of our mitten yarn. So we're not picking up anything, nothing to do with the waist yarn. It is still just sitting there. And that is our last stitch because there's nothing here. There's not a complete V. So if we count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. So those are our mitten stitches safely on a needle. And then now what you can do, you take a needle, your finger, whatever works for you, but now we're going to pick out this waist yarn. So I just picked up my other knitting needle here, and we're just going to pull it out. So this is where the magic happens. Let's see. Let me just use my, maybe we'll keep going with the needle. I'm just going to carefully, will it come out two at a time? It does. I'm just going to pull that out. And you've got your stitches safely on the needles, so nothing is going to come undone. Now sometimes you can do, if you want to have a bit of a challenge, what you can do is you can pull out the waste yarn first and then pick up those live stitches on the top and the bottom. But this way is a little safer, knowing that you've picked up those stitches first. Okay, I think we've got, there's our waste yarn all out. So look at that. We've got thumb stitches on the top needle and the bottom needle, and now here we've got our thumb hole. So your pattern now is going to tell you you're going to join your working yarn. You'll have cut it from when you finished your mitten. You'll join your working yarn. You are going to work across the bottom because you're going to have your right side facing you, your knit side. You're going to work across these front stitches, and then you're going to pick up and knit some stitches along the edge here. Knit across these stitches, and then you'll pick up stitches along the edge here again. And then you'll be back in the round. So, since we're here, we may as well demonstrate that very quickly. So I just need to where my working yarn is. Okay. So okay, so here we are back again, ready to start working across our picked up stitches. So we're going to have the right side of our work facing us, pick up another empty DPN. We're going to join our mitten yarn here. We're all done with waste yarn, so we don't have to worry about that any longer. So I've got 7 stitches here. Now I'm sure some very observant knitter is noticing that my DPNs are a little bit smaller than what my working needles are, and you are absolutely right, but I just didn't have the same size DPNs right handy, and I wanted to use nice chunky yarn so you guys could see those stitches being picked up. So we'll see how these needles work for picking up stitches. So we're going to just work our way across here. Now what I'm going to do is now use my new empty needle. And we're going to, and it says pick up stitches. That means to pick up and knit. So it's going to tell you which we want. We want 3 or 4 stitches along here. So you're going to pick up and knit close to this stitch here, this green stitch. Pick up along the edge here. Something that's going to not give us a hole. So this is what? Pick up and knit your stitch. This DPN's kind of in our way here, isn't it? Pick up and knit. Now if you find something like that that's loose, and just move in, or out, I guess we're saying, out away from our thumb hole. Find something that's a little more secure. Oh, that one popped off. We'll work that one again. There. So that's what a pick up and knit is. And you're going to want to work up fairly close here so we don't have a gap. So you may want to pick up a couple more stitches in there. And then you're going to knit across these stitches. You're going to pick up again along this side. You can redistribute your stitches around and then carry on working your thumb. So that is how to work that waste yarn in there for the Afterthought Thumb. So whether this has been a new technique for you or something that was just needed a little refresher, I hope you found it helpful. Thanks very much for watching.